Alright, we are back with Stanley Parable. And I believe the last time the narrator asked me to enter in my favorite time. So I'm going to say... seven. Feels like seven. Ah, 7. Your favorite time of day. Or could do simply not resist giving me the correct time again. After all, I know how much you enjoy setting time correctly. Okay, now I'm curious how accurate 7 a.m. is. Let's use another slider to find out. How accurate is 7 a.m.? You know, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like to do things to be said. It's good to collect data. I wish I had more sliders. We've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders to gather new data on you. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, let me whip a couple new ones up. Sure, next time you beat up the game. Awesome.
This is the story of a man. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions
Good
and how
morning to you
everything
as
is
well.
predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could
Welcome
all
to
have
the
been prevented
nonsense.
if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought.
Oh, hi,
And she
Dandy.
hugged her
Thanks
own
for stopping
bucket
by.
even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad
Hello.
of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this bucket is precious. I have my bow here. Which bow would people prefer? I have the companion cube or my pride bow. Companion cube feels more appropriate because of the bucket at the moment. All right. It's like my own little bucket. My neck bucket keeps me
All of his
supportive.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Gotta
The
grab the
good
bucket.
old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
I'm still missing
Stanley
a
took
bunch
the
of the
door on his left
endings.
to go back to the meeting room.
And I believe the bucket is the key to most of them.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
No, I'm
Stanley
gonna try
did
and
not
enter
question why or how
other
this bucket was
worlds.
speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
No, so what if I don't do what the bucket wants and don't do what the narrator wants?
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
It did say no
So
buckets.
much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
We're all buckets.
Please, step in here for a moment.
Like, I can contain water in my mouth.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Is this a bucket?
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Now, I'm curious. I've done this once before, and I'm curious if there is an exact answer. Or if it's always going to be. So, this one is a hologram. So this should be wrong, but I want to try and do a different choice.
Incorrect. It is a hologram.
It is a
of
hologram,
bucket,
okay.
Not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket?
I'm gonna answer what I think to be correct. Last time, I was just being wiggly. Let's see. I'm just gonna say yes for all of them now.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed
I'm going to
recreation
try
of
to
a
be
bucket,
correct.
not an actual
And
bucket.
see if I don't end up with the metaphysical nightmare of everything is a bucket. I am a bucket. We are all buckets. The universe is a bucket.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Yay!
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Bucket jam.
Is this a bucket?
All right. Explain how this is a bucket.
Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question.
Oh, it's a bucket for a farmer.
Both.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both
No
know
existential
full well
nightmares for me
nothing
today.
isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true.
Here we
Unless,
go.
is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence.
A bucket,
Yet
a
now
bucket,
I'm
a
somewhat
bucket, a
adrift.
bucket.
Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with.
Could be a bucket of
I'm
knowledge.
afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
Bucket of
I
rainbow.
can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone?
That is one of my
Why did
favorite jokes so
everything
far in the
disappear?
game.
Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
All right, let's leave the buckets
Stanley
alone
decided
for
to
a
go to the
moment.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
There's
missed a
new
memo.
paths, and I've got to figure out where they are. I know there's something that I
When
missed.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So, let's see here. I feel like I've done everything on the left side.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room.
They wrote
Thank
so
goodness
much
Stanley
dialogue
had
to this
taken this
room.
detour
I
on
love
his
it.
way to the meeting room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
All right.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section,
I don't think I've ever
walked
gone
straight
back
ahead to the
normal.
opposite door, and got back on track.
Can I go backwards? Nope. Sometimes the hallway resets and I get a new hallway.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his bosses. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, does that door not close? Because the boss knows that the boss says goes. If the boss is stuffed, if the boss has suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Reading comprehension. Okay, so the door does close. Oh, I know what I've not done. Let's try this elevator. Again. Let's only click down. I think the weirdest thing about this is that there is 3D audio and it's in the center. Alright, so does the elevator go nowhere? The beige pages.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh dear.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Here we go. Can we go backwards? Does it do anything? I feel like I'm QA testing.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay, so I can go back up.
Whoops, nope.
never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Good.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No. That's not going to give me... Well, no, it might. Let's try one more time. Let's see if it's different.
Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator.
It's elevator action
I can't
part
even
3.
begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me. Oh my God, it's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a timeout here for a minute while I process this.
Oh, gracious me.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
It's a bird, and he's drinking the water.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
No, I just want to annoy the narrator.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Oxygen 914. Alright, I think I might have gone through all the loops. Oh wait, no, it's
You know
faster.
what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years.
At
and
the
it's really
basement
all because of you.
where the mind control
You're the
study
one
is,
who
I
took
know
this
there's
bold
also
step of
there's
revisiting
5
the
buttons
exact
and you
same
can't.
locations over
I
and
can't
over.
currently hit the 4th
Truly,
button
I
because
mean
the
it.
stairwell
This
is
is
locked.
unique and different. It's not like
It's driving me
anything
crazy.
else
I'm
out
trying to
there.
figure
You
out
see,
which way to
I
unlock it.
want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you. So that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
Wow! It was worth it. I loved the payoff. Oh my gosh. Going back up and down the elevator was totally worth it.
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
It's gonna be the boss's office. It's gonna be the boss's office at the end. It's gotta be. The guy who went to Mars. How we did it. The pyramids. There's a whole when Tumblr was active, I think, or maybe it's Twitter. There's a whole thread of having fun with salad, and it's just stock footage of people having fun eating their salads and being excited, and it's a guilty pleasure. World peace, baby.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door. All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get 'em.
Break a leg, champ. I love the way you ride elevators. Thanks for showing me that cool skateboard trick in the parking lot. You are too cool. Good luck on stage. Stanley, my true love for you grows every day. You make me feel alive. Your wife from the apartment ending. No one tells stories the way you do. Go get them, Tiger. All right, then. Congratulations. Remember where you came from. Your co-workers. Oh, look, it's got the little golf thing. Up again, down again. This Stanley story. Yeah, it's gotta be the boss's office. the Lord meet and greet. Oh! I actually was not expecting this. Wow. That was a hell of an ending. I
All
like
of his
that one.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright, so...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay, I got
This was
try.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I'm gonna try
lounge
the
was
other video game
sublime,
ending.
a work of art.
And
But eager to get
see
back to
if
business,
it's-
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I will not do what he says the first couple times, and then I
Stanley
will
was
do
so
what he
bad at
says.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Let's see where that gets me.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've... What? Really?
Yep.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for
Danger
others?
everywhere.
Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
I need that
Why,
sign.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
I'm curious if that sign was
Let
there
me
from the
prove it.
beginning.
Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the... Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
So I have tried staying here for a while. And then the colors change a bit. I haven't gotten any dialogue. I don't know if I have to stay there for like an hour.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Oh, this is this ending.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
A trigger warning for suicidal intent. I will not go through with this ending. I've done it before, but just in
Please,
case.
no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
I'm gonna just go ahead and I've done this one before, but this is the darkest ending, I think. Luckily in the settings you can turn it off. Oh, there's one-handed walking, cool. Yeah. But just in case anybody sends it to that, I'm going to go ahead and just skip this one for now. A phone! It's in here. There we go.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Let's go down the maintenance tunnels.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
More elevators, I say. Never enough
But
elevators.
Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay,
Up,
yes.
B,
I've
A,
got it now.
select,
This
start.
story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Wait. This is new. Oh, no, this is...
No, this isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish.
Is that the
now.
bucket? The
whole
employee's the
story
bucket.
completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay. From the top...
Oh, no, it's Clippy.
All of his co-workers were gone.
And now the
What could it
balloons are
mean?
gone.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay.
When Stanley...
Yeah,
Wait.
alright, so
Wait,
yeah, I'm still in
what?
that ending. All right.
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
I blame the Stanley Parable for the backrooms becoming a thing. With different lighting, this would be extremely upsetting.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm not seeing much of a difference in this one so far. I don't think I can make a variation of it. I'm trying to find some new endings here. Hey, the boxes got here! Oh no, I can't get to the phone. It took away my jump button. I can't get to the phone. Look like they're having so much fun in there.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Downstairs is infinite void. Nothing changes unless I go through the door, so I don't want to do that yet. I've got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. Say, that's a lovely purse. Door to the left of the buttons.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Alright, let's try that.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Don't have much choice. Oof.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Where's 3? Where's 5? Where was 3? Get back here. Two. There it is. There's 3. But I need 4. Oh wait. 2. Let's try this. Do any of these register? Do any of these make it green? No, they just make noises. And then just I'm sure there's a way to do it, and I just cannot figure it out. Maybe if I get the mind control status online.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say
I have to do two first?
This version of events has been rather amusing.
Oh,
Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
So I hit 2.
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Dang it. So I have to figure out how to solve that puzzle. It said it hit. I thought it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it said it hit purple 2. And there's no purple 2. There's purple G and a purple house.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
So seems that's pointless. I'm gonna do this again with the bucket. So no, the bucket. I've had the bucket before, and it told me to press a certain button.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in?
Oh.
How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
I believe there's nothing for staying in the office for a bit.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled.
bucket,
Anywhere
a
they
bucket,
went
a bucket,
together
a
would
bucket.
be perfectly. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Open the door.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light
I forget
pierce
what it
the
is
dark
now.
clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes. This is certainly the most logical explanation.
I like this is also a satire of the no mending from Half-Life 2 and Left 4 Dead and all that. Carry the gnome
The
all the way
elevator
through the
raced
game for no
downward,
reason.
plummeting
Just for an
towards an
achievement.
unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Alright, so we'll do this with the bucket and do what the bucket says this time. And then next
The
time,
lights rose on an enormous room packed
We'll
with
escape with the
television
bucket.
screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
I know at least that there's one
The
ending I'm
monitors
missing.
jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped
And I
the
really
bucket
want
in
to find
shock.
it, and I have no idea how.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
The bucket's different this time.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never!
You have to
He
go to the
squeezed
right
the
path,
bucket tighter.
then the left
His
path
one
with the
friend
bucket
in the entire
to get
world.
it to have the voice.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
Wow.
Go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out. All of his co-workers were gone. What could
Somewhere
it mean?
there's an infinite
Stanley
hole,
decided
and
to
I
go
wanna
to the
find
meeting
that.
room. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And
This
here
is
it
a very
was.
nice
Had the
lounge.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes,
I like how
Stanley
things
thought
are
to
spread
himself.
out,
Yes,
so I'm
perhaps
not
it
forced to
truly
sit
was.
beside people.
How insightful the bucket turned
Sit by
out
the
to be.
window, read a book. Everyone ignore me.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the car. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him.
Fair
and
warning,
he
I'm
unthinkingly
gonna
did
jump.
whatever the bucket asked.
Because I don't think I've done that with the bucket yet. So I'm gonna let it talk for a moment, and then I'm gonna run back out here and I'm gonna jump.
In here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Oh, I just noticed there's balloons up there. Alright. Jumping.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Oh, gotta go to
But
that
Stanley
lounge.
had felt the bucket calling to him,
So
telling
cozy.
him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket
Blue
was
is the
wrong.
color that encourages you
Stanley
to talk.
took the door on his left to go
No,
back
that's
to the
not right.
meeting room.
What does blue mean? Brown makes you want to talk. Vibrant colors make you want to
And so the two of them
hurry.
detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here.
Red makes you
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
angry or horny.
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Blue
Coming to a
makes you not
staircase,
nauseous.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yes.
Was the bucket guiding him?
Guide me, my
Yes,
bucket.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bring me to my home. Bucket boy, take me home to that place I belong. Mr. Bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead
put
through
the
the large door that read
balls
Mind
in
Control.
your
Although this passageway
He's
had the
Mr.
word
Bucket.
escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
You might say you
Farewell,
kicked the bucket.
Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
This is new. This is completely new.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
A bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of it all, the simple fact remains no one can control a bucket. The stress bucket, an analogy. Presents without commentary. Oh no. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasure.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between the bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance simply is for our own good. The infinite hole! I found it! Oh, no.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision of the...
So is the bucket now going to be gone? No, there's the bucket. And there's the doors.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man, and a better... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this
Alright, I am not sure where that's gonna go from here. But I also have to go to my therapy appointment, so I'll be gone for a bit. And I'm gonna try the bucket ending a couple more times with a few more variations. I know there's one ending at least that I really want to get. And I also want to find the infinite hole from the Ultra Deluxe new content thing, and maybe the jump circle. They've got to be hidden here because everything else is there. And every now and then you get something new, like those boxes. Of course, I've always highly recommended Stanley Parable to everyone. I highly recommend this Ultra Deluxe version as well. Even if you played the original, it's fantastic. As well as the Beginner's Guide, which was made by the same team. And the Beginner's Guide, I feel, is important. It is important to video games as a concept, as an idea. Going through the Beginner's Guide made me feel sad and upset that I had not done more with my life. It is so motivational and so fascinating that it really kind of got me moving on a lot of things. It's like an hour and a half. I'd recommend taking an hour and a half and just going through it. It's fantastic. It's absolutely incredible, and there's nothing else like it. But that's all for now. Thanks to everyone who stayed here with me and joined me on this crazy bucket adventure. I will be back later with some more. And maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. But thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the raid. And I appreciate all your company. Bye-bye now.